Saturday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Saturday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Saturday. Saturday, bring it on.
This is Let the Record Show, using common sense. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg and Chairman Jesse Garcia.
This is Let the Record Show. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. With me is Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the State Republican Party here in New York State and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party. Jesse, good to have you back on the show. You had a week off taking care of your son, which is always a good thing.
My son went back to, his name is Jay Alex, and he's returning for his sophomore year as a cadet corporal at the Citadel in South Carolina.
How wonderful. I'm sure you're very, very proud of him.
I am.
And as you should be. It's a great American success story, isn't it? You escape Castro's tyranny, and your son goes on to one of the great schools in the country for public service and protecting this country. God bless him, Jesse. That's great news. So, Jesse, there's a Democratic convention going on. I want to talk to you about that. Later on the show, ladies and gentlemen, our beloved listening audience, we're going to have Randy Mastro, who's a former deputy mayor of the city of New York and chief of staff to the mayor, who's now up for nomination to be the Corporation Counsel of the city of New York, the most important single law job in New York City government, running the New York City Law Department, or also known as the Office of Corporation Counsel. We'll have him later on the show for an interview by Jesse and by me. Right now, folks, I want to talk about the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Let me give you my thoughts. I'm a Democrat. I'm always described as a centrist Democrat or a common sense Democrat, but I am absolutely embarrassed about what's happening to my party. This is a party that has raised two people who've not gotten a single vote in a primary or in a state caucus or in a state convention, one to be president of the United States, the other one to be vice president of the United States. The presidential candidate will be Kamala Harris, and the vice presidential candidate will be Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Never have two more limited people been elevated to such high office in a time of crisis, both domestically and internationally, for our great country. And the question is, why am I embarrassed? Because they keep attacking Donald Trump as if he's the boogeyman, if he's the incarnation of all evil, if he's the devil incarnate. The fact of the matter is, on the merits, if you look at the record of Donald Trump as president, he was not a dictator. He didn't destroy democracy. He was very solid on the economy. We had a strong economy. We were very good on national defense. He built up our military. He chilled the aspirations and the adventurism of our enemies or would-be enemies. Our border was closed. It was orderly. People who wanted to come to this country came through a legal process. Kids could afford to buy homes with reasonable mortgages. Earned income was real income and wasn't eaten up by runaway inflation. And this is the man that they keep attacking as if he's some sort of hostile actor who would destroy America. To the contrary, the people who would destroy America are the people in the streets of Chicago who are anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-United States. And instead of repudiating those people at the Democratic Convention, Jesse, they embrace their values. Biden gets up there the other night on his swan song, and he says that the demonstrators have a point. Well, they're burning American flags, they're rioting in the streets, they're breaking through police lines, they're threatening other people's lives. These people seize college campuses and take them over and intimidate their fellow students. They stop bridges and tunnels across the country. And these are the people who are tolerated and, in fact, encouraged by the Democratic Party. So I am indeed ashamed and embarrassed by what's going on. Your thoughts, Jesse?
Thanks, Your Honor. It's great. Like I said, it's great to be here. Maybe we should just remind everyone how we got here. Let's remember that the Democrats who cast Donald Trump as the threat to democracy are the ones who actually flaunt democracy. They only respect democracy when it's when it benefits them. If policy initiatives or demographics or finally part of their coalition is fed up with them for being taken advantage of, being taken advantage of by decades by the Democratic Party, like African Americans and Hispanic Americans, that's when the Democrats all of a sudden need to change the rules. 14 million registered Americans who are Democrats voted for Joe Biden. Not one of them cast a vote for Walz or for Harris. Yet, they discounted those votes because polling was in the toilet with their candidate, Joe Biden, and they just reshuffled their deck. I don't think their deck is going to be successful because they may have changed the names, but the policies are the same. Biden, Harris, Harris, Biden. As she has said, she has been in the Situation Room with every major decision that there's ever been. In the Oval Office with Biden, with every major decision that's ever been. She owns the highest inflation in the world. She owns the fact that a foreign policy disaster and diplomatic policy on the world stage, which has made the United States a mockery with its international partners. It is 10, 11, 12 million illegal migrants crossing the borders after Biden and Harris pulled off the Trump initiatives that secured the border once and for all. They stopped, in essence, building the wall and setting forth rules for people to cross over. And of course, on the economy, we've just found out, and we'll get into a little bit later, just like they've been lying to the American people, that inflation is not high, that groceries are not 30% higher than they used to be under Donald Trump, and that gas wasn't 50% higher now than it was under Donald Trump. 818,000 jobs were wiped off. They were never created. It was just a revision of their numbers. And this could have come at the worst time for them, because that means that their Bidenomics has been confirmed by their own administration as failing. Payrolls are down by 818,000 jobs that they were moving forward, that they were projecting was created, because their policies are failures. And as you said, and we've said it before, and I think Eric Levine, one of our special co-hosts, joins us and says, what we've been seeing at the Democratic Convention, as we sit here today, let's just take Tuesday night. Tuesday night, the speakers mentioned and attacked Donald Trump 24 times in primetime. All the other issues about policy, about the economy, illegal immigration, energy independence, world affairs, and diplomacy, mentions of them from the stage were collectively less than 24. And that's why they're trying to cast Donald Trump as the boogeyman, yet and deflect away from their failed policies. Your Honor, and even just before, in his first outside event, rally that he had, and I believe in North Carolina, as we're taping the show, Donald Trump demonstrated his compassion. In the middle of this rally, one of his elderly attendees needed some assistance, some medical assistance. He stopped the rally. He allowed the medical personnel to get to that individual. He walked off the stage, walked to that location to comfort and assist in any way the first responders. That, more than anything, demonstrates the difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. One is real, genuine, and cares. The other one is entitled, has been a checkbox type of candidate, and has been the leader of an administration that has failed in every point that we're facing. I think when it's all said and done, this 4-day commercial for the anointment of Kamala Harris is going to be a failure because of those issues on policy, the differences between candidates, and the fact that the rioters and the protesters are taking it not only to the streets, they're getting inside the arena, and they're even booing Nancy Pelosi at one of the safe havens for Democrats, The Late Show, emanating from Chicago.
Well, it's interesting about this Late Show. You couldn't, on Monday nights, you couldn't have had a more late time to put Joe Biden on the stage. They did it deliberately because they know audiences would not be watching. They wanted to give him, as they say, the bum's rush, get him out of there, because he became an embarrassment to the party. Now, why is he an embarrassment to the party? Number one, because he was not mentally competent all these years to be president. He certainly wasn't mentally competent to run for re-election. If he truly cared about this country, he would have stepped aside and let fresh blood, fresh talent compete for the nomination. So what do? This great party that claims that they're for constitutional government and democracy, they sidestep all legitimate voices of the people, and they anoint two people who have no support other than by the party machine, who's so happy. And this enthusiasm that's shown now, it's not enthusiasm for Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. It's enthusiasm because they got rid of Joe Biden in a coup led by Schumer and Pelosi and Obama. That's why they're joyous. They got this guy off the stage. They couldn't get him out of town quick enough. And by the way, in a great column by our friend Michael Goodwin of the New York Post, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, he said, look, let's talk about this. Number one, if he wasn't competent enough to run for the presidency, and that, by the way, was a cover-up hidden by all the Democratic machine, the White House staff, the Biden family, the media, that the man was incompetent, totally incompetent mentally to do this job. So if he's mentally incompetent to do this job, and it's now been exposed as such, how can he be competent for the next 5 months to be the president? So that was the first point Goodwin makes in his column. The second one was, whoever said that Kamala Harris was competent to be president of the United States? What has she gone through that would show that she's competent? So the question becomes, she's a woman with no record. She claims to have been in the Situation Room. Well, she can't have it both ways. She says she's the voice of the future, of hope, of change. Well, if she's a hope and change, and she was in a Situation Room, and she was ratifying or part of the decision-making of all the failures of the Biden-Harris administration, how can she say she's a voice of change? I don't get it, Jesse.
I don't either. I do not either.
So, I just came from a lunch a little while ago at the Police Athletic League here in Manhattan, and our guest speaker was Larry Kudlow of Fox Business, and also, as you know, Larry is a host of the Kudlow Show on Saturdays here on WABC AM. And Larry said, "Look, there's no great mysteries in economics. You don't unless you want to confuse the people. You don't overtax. You don't overregulate. You don't overspend. You don't establish price controls. All those things are negatives to growth. What makes a country strong is economic growth and prosperity. It's what gives people the opportunity, regardless of their race, religion, creed, national origin. Everybody has an opportunity in a growth economy. But in a failing economy, a diminished economy, a recessionary economy, things are lost. Opportunity is lost. Quality of life is lost. Standard of living is lost. Dreams are lost. This is a big deal. Economics have a lot to do with whether we have a good life or we don't have a good life. And Kudlow has exactly right. So what does Kamala Harris want? She wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. Jesse, who pays when they increase the corporate tax rate?
Everyone does. The consumer does. It costs everyone in their payrolls, in their paychecks, and in their jobs directly.
And it makes us non-competitive against the rest of the world. And what happens is when people don't have companies that are profitable, they have to close down and jobs are lost, or people have to be laid off. And innovation and research and development is stymied. It is a negative, negative, negative when you increase the corporate taxes because business people have to survive. They're the ones who create jobs and pay the taxes. Government prints money, but when government prints money, Jesse, that's the failure of the Democrats. They keep passing bills. And by the way, she was the tiebreaker on all these Inflation Reduction Acts and all these COVID relief bills and the Build Back Better baby bills. All nonsense, flooded us with cash. And the definition of inflation is when you have too many dollars chasing too few goods. That's what causes high prices. Inflation causes high prices. High prices do not cause inflation. And if you don't understand that, and Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party do not understand that. And a word about Tim Walz, a running mate, an avowed socialist. His view, Jesse, believe it or not, is, well, socialism is just another way of saying neighborliness. What do you think about that?
I think it's, that's a neighborless to me, because that neighborless means that my neighbor is going to take my stuff and not have to work for it. So that's not my gig at all. I mean, you could not have doubled down on the left progressive socialist more than Kamala Harris did. She has made two major mistakes as she has come forward since this well-scripted rollout of the coup of Joe Biden and the administration when she was anointed basically the smoke-filled back room of the Democratic Party, because they are only interested not in America. They are only interested in the retaining of their own power, their own greed, and their own influence. They want to reshape America and its society to that of a third world nation and a nanny state and of our European socialist governments. And that does not work here. And I believe that American voters are going to see through that. But Tim Walz, as we've gone through this, he was a disaster when it came to the COVID response. His administration as governor has been under review and for allowing fraud of hundreds of millions of dollars of COVID monies. His military record is under attack because as he has portrayed that he was leading forces abroad, he actually retired. Now, he's entitled to retire, but you can't have it both ways, as you said, Your Honor. You can't say that I'm battle-tested because I was in Afghanistan and led troops when actually you retired and left your squad 2 days before they were dispatched to the war zone.
To Iraq.
It's in Iraq. So it's amazing. And these are people, these are an administration that wants the government to control the economy, your health care. They want to control your lives. These are the people who propose policies that want to keep you masked. They want to force you to be vaccinated. It's your body, your decision up until it's all about a vaccination. They want to make sure that America continues the Obama apologist tour that he commenced over 8 years as president. This is all the chips in the middle of the table. It's for all the marbles. There's a lot of hyperbole that goes on during elections, and I use them as a political leader to motivate my troops and my committee people, my volunteers. But in this case, this is the truth. We are at a crossroads. Are we going to follow Donald Trump and a presidency that makes America strong again, energy independent again, that makes America to be a first and a dominant player for freedom, both here in our streets and abroad? Or are we going to go down the path of socialism and communism? That's our choices right now.
Well said. This is Let the Record Show. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. We'll take a short break. We'll be back in a moment with more interesting conversation.
Let the Record Show is on the air.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Morning decisions. A creamy mocha frappuccino drink? A sweet vanilla? Maybe a smooth caramel or that white chocolate mocha. Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Start your day with bottled Starbucks Frappuccino drinks. Pick up a bottle near you wherever you buy your groceries.
Build professional skills this semester with Adobe Creative Cloud and create standout work both in and out of the classroom. Save big on professional creativity tools. Students get 65% off Adobe Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Acrobat Pro, and 20+ creative apps. No matter what project you're working on, Adobe Creative Cloud apps can help you take it to the next level. Visit adobe.com/student to learn more.
You need a vacation, so why not come play in LA? Fill your days with fun and let Los Angeles dazzle you with iconic landmarks, epic scenery, and stunning coastlines. And when the sun goes down, it's the perfect place to enjoy world-class dining and nightlife. Let play lead the way and soak up all this city has to offer. Start planning your LA getaway now at visitcalifornia.com.
This is Let the Record Show. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg and Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia.
We're back on Low with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. Welcome back. Jesse, I want to talk to you about a great column that was written by Kim Strassel, who's on the editorial board and a great columnist for the Wall Street Journal. And she's dealing with the problem that the Democratic Party has on the inside. It's the traditional Democrats, people like me, versus their extreme radical left. And she calls this an existential problem because it's really the problem that I have. How do you save what was ordinarily a good, common sense party that cared about all Americans and national unity and national defense and a strong economy? How do you save it from radical progressives, people who understand nothing about history or economics or bring people together, don't understand the foreign threats? And she's saying that they've gone out of their way to placate, make nice, to paper over, to overlook, to apologize for these radical people. The same radical people in the streets who were burning down 4 years ago the streets in Tim Walz's Minneapolis, where they had $500 million worth of damage and people died and lots of people were injured and totally destroyed the city and the state. So people fled in hundreds of thousands from Minneapolis and the rest of the state of Minnesota. They just wanted out. That's what they stand for. And Walz is an apologist for that, but he's just typical of a kind. You have the AOCs who say, everything's fine, BLM, Antifa, they're just wonderful people, they're just protesting. No, they're not lawfully protesting under constitutional right to protest. They are breaking down civility, law and order, public safety, the issues and concerns that should be paramount to a civilized society here in the United States. Your thoughts, Jesse?
You're absolutely right, Your Honor. I mean, listen, we've said this on previous shows. I will tell you that this line will not be heard at the Democratic National Convention. A rallying cry saying that we stand with Israel. That is not happening. That is not happening because, as you pointed out, Biden on Monday tipped a cap to the protesters. These protesters are violent. Even the city of Chicago's police department has been told, and they're handcuffed in how they can deal with these type of issues. We did not experience, as someone who has gone to 4 national Republican conventions this past year, and let's say 2016, the most recent one, while there's security and there are steel gates and such, that happens at every convention, there were no protesters, no violence, nothing of that sort that are going on. What's happening, though, is that these anti-Israel protesters are being fueled by a Democratic Party that is embracing them. They are getting the nod from the Schumers, which is disgusting in its own self, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the President, Joe Biden. They're saying to them, It's okay. We stand with you. That's wrong. That means they're not standing with our allies in Israel, and they're fanning the flames of these violent protests and the rise of anti-Semitism here in this country. And we're going to see it because, as you pointed out, over the summer, these radical groups, funded in part by Antifa, funded in part by maybe foreign entities such as Iran, they have been prepping. They have been getting ready for this "See You in September," as you titled it, type of effort when colleges return to session. They've been holding workshops. They've been communicating with encrypted messaging systems. And today, they're using the colleges. Our colleges are not ready. And you can even see there are posters in some of these colleges that say things, they say words and language like, "No victory until victory we revolt." And they use the term intifada in these proclamations and these circulars and these signs and these flyers. So these colleges are failing us, and they're being inflamed by the liberal socialist bent that run these colleges and these politicians in these blue regions, whether it be New York City, it'd be Chicago, Minnesota, Minneapolis, you name it, Detroit. Because for the Democrats, it's more important to hold on to influence, power, greed than it is to stop the rise of anti-Semitism, to stop violent crime and instill law and order. And it's more important to them than America's future, because they want to remake America.
Well, the point is, these people do not love America. They despise America. They want to change America in their own image, as you correctly point out. They want to bring the America that you and I know is a land of equality and opportunity, liberty, free speech. They want to bring it down and remake it into their control. It's all about domination. It's all about forcing down the rest of our throats what they want. Whatever they want. And they're never satisfied, because it's always about manipulation and it's always about control. And this is a very troubling thing, Jesse. And I'm horrified by it, that these young kids who are the future of America have been indoctrinated, been abused and misused, and they gladly join the lines of these insurrectionists. These are the true insurrectionists. These are people who have to be confronted. And the first line of confrontation should be the Democratic Party, who supposedly stands for democracy. It's not democracy, Jesse, when you have mob rule. It's not democracy when you intimidate your fellow citizens. It's not democracy when you close down bridges and tunnels and you deny access to your fellow students on college campuses. It's not a democracy, Jesse, when Columbia University refuses to condemn, to censor, and to punish those who carried on the riots at Columbia. It is not democracy when Alvin Bragg, the DA of Manhattan, does not prosecute these people. Those are not democratic values. That is not constitutional republic. That is not civilized society. This is Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia, and I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. We'll be back in a few moments. We'll be getting, as our interview guest, Randy Mastro, distinguished attorney, former deputy mayor of the city of New York, chief of staff to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, a great lawyer who's been nominated by Mayor Adams to be Corporation Counsel, City of New York, the top law position in the entire government of the city of New York. Please stay tuned for more interesting conversation.
This is Let the Record Show.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
We off?
30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes!
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree?
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet?
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
I love ravioli.
Ho tanta fame.
Since when do you speak Italian?
Since we partnered with SAP Concur, their integrated travel and expense platform and breakthrough solutions with AI gave me time back to dive into our financial future. We expand into Europe in 2027, so I'm getting ready.
Well, you can predict the future?
I can predict you'll like that message.
What message? Whoa, hey, we all got bonuses.
You can save for college now.
I don't have kids.
You don't say.
SAP Concur helps your business move forward faster. Learn more at concur.com.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
This is Let the Record Show. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg and Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. With me is Jesse Garcia, the Vice Chair of the State Republican Party, County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party, my distinguished co-host. And we are honored and privileged to have Randy Mastro with us as our guest today. Randy is a very distinguished lawyer. I've known him since about 1993. He was first chief of staff to Mayor Rudy Giuliani, thereafter deputy mayor of the city of New York under Mayor Giuliani. He's been a distinguished partner in two great law firms, Gibson Dunn and King and Spalding. He is a public servant of the greatest integrity, ability, and experience. Just recently, Mayor Adams has nominated him to be the Corporation Counsel of the City of New York, which is the head of the New York City Law Department, the Office of the Corporation Counsel, which I must tell you is one of the great public service, public interest law firms in the country, if not the world. Randy, welcome to Let the Record Show with Chairman Garcia and myself.
Thank you, Your Honor, and it's an honor for me to be here. Thank you.
So, let me ask you this question. For those people who don't know what the Corporation Counsel of the City of New York does or is, and what that office does, would you just explain that briefly to our audience?
Sure. The Corporation Counsel is the city's top lawyer, represents all of the offices of the city, meaning both the administration and the city council, oversees the 800-lawyer law department, making it among the largest, if not the largest, law office in New York City, public or private. It defends the cities against lawsuits. The city gets sued in thousands of lawsuits a year. But it also sometimes brings affirmative litigation. And if I am fortunate to have this opportunity, it will bring a lot more proactive affirmative cases to protect the city's interests. So it's a very important legal job, and its primary importance is that it's representing all of the people of the city of New York and ensuring that their interests are protected. And that's a calling, and I'm answering the call.
Well, I think Mayor Adams has made an excellent choice. You and I, as I said, go back to 1993. We worked together, the two sides of City Hall, one the legislative branch, the other the executive branch. You and I were on the Lincoln Center board together for years and years and years, representing the mayor's side and the city council side. And I always found you to have the ability to cross aisles regardless of party. You worked for a Republican mayor, but you're a Democrat, like me, a Democrat. You have a history of public service and community leadership. Would you tell our audience some of the positions you've held outside of government and some of the issues that you've dealt with?
Be pleased to do that because, I've been honored to spend over a decade of my career in public service, both as a federal prosecutor and then in City Hall. But since then, in private practice, I've devoted hundreds of hours a year, every year, to pro bono litigation and to community service, serving as the chair of Citizens Union, New York's revered good government group, really the gold standard for integrity and honesty in government, as vice chair of the Legal Aid Board, providing legal services for the indigent at the highest levels, serving on the board of CUNY for a decade, serving on so many other not-for-profit boards, YMCA of Greater New York, Sanctuary for Families, for which I've also done, pro bono litigation representing victims of domestic violence, for Hale House, where I was honored to serve when the state attorney general, brought in new board members to help that revered Harlem institution. So that's just a sample of the kind of community service work I have done. But there's no higher calling than public service. And to have this opportunity to come back and combine two loves of mine, my love for the city and my love of the law, and to be able to harness the power of the law to help New Yorkers and improve New Yorkers' lives, that's just something that really is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Jesse.
The Corporation Counsel is interesting because it is known for its nonpartisanship and for the development of truly talented municipal lawyers. Just a quick story. I was a former chief of staff to a Republican town supervisor, the equivalent of a mayor to the biggest town in Suffolk County, the town of Brookhaven. And one of the first appointments that the town supervisor at that time did was appoint Emily Pines, who earned her rights and learned her craft at the Corporation Counsel. She went on, of course, to become a Supreme Court justice and also came back to public service to serve as a chief of staff to our then supervisor, Ed Romaine in Brookhaven, who is now our county executive. But I think it demonstrates what the Corporation Counsel is all about. It's about churning out truly talented municipal lawyers. And I think you're really, from afar, and I'm not a lawyer, but you have been regarded as one and reviewed and referred to as one of the top 100 lawyers. And your pro bono work, you have defended pro bono the rights of people to peaceful racial justice demonstrators. You've defended teachers who were let go, fired by their positions for the wrong reasons, and something that I've just picked up in all New Yorkers. I've seen in your resume and your bio that you advocated for a fallen 9/11 firefighters and have been very much involved in the UFA Widows Fund. That's a diverse group. How do you bring all those talents, your pro bono experience, your private experience, and your previous public service experience, to truly keep the reputation and the momentum of that esteemed institution, the Corporation Counsel, moving forward to serve the people of New York City?
Well, I'm really glad you asked me that, Jesse, because those who've served in this position before, I'd really be standing on the shoulders of giants at some of the most respected figures in the New York legal community, and the law department itself has set the standard for excellence in public representation. I think all of the experiences I've had said to people that this is the one job in government I always aspired to do, and I've been training for it for my entire career, because each of those experiences lends itself to having perspective and an ability to lead such a large office. Having been a deputy mayor, having been part of management of large international law firms and run their litigation groups, internationally of comparable size to the law department. I know how to manage and administer a large staff, but just as importantly, the skills that I have learned over the years, I can hit the ground running. This isn't my first rodeo in city government. I was fortunate to have the opportunity to serve as deputy mayor, and I was a consumer of the law department. So I know a lot about city government and the law department. But the diversity of cases that I've had over the years, the success I've had in private practice representing firm clients, now I'm going to bring that success, that energy, that commitment, that professionalism to representing the city and the people of New York City and every branch of government, including the city council. So the success I've had, now I want to bring that success to New Yorkers. And I will personally commit to arguing major cases that my clients want me to argue in public service. That's not something Corp Counsel have necessarily done in the past. But I look forward to this because it's a chance to do not only a public service, but public good. And I want to take that great office, move more of its resources into affirmative litigation, to proactively protect civil rights, constitutional rights, and public safety. In my own career, I've had many cases where we used the law, going back to my federal prosecutor days, affirmatively to protect public safety and advance public safety, to go after drug dealers, to go after illegal guns, to go after organized crime. In my work, not only as federal prosecutor, but then later as deputy mayor, where we cracked down on the Fulton Fish Market and in the private carding industry.
I remember that well. I remember
yes,
that well.
I personally received death threats from La Cosa Nostra because our crackdown was so effective. And people thought, Your Honor, you'll remember this, people thought we couldn't defeat the mob. It was so entrenched at the Fulton Fish Market and the private carding industry. Other administrations said, let's not take this on. This is too difficult. But working with the council to pass legislation and then implementing that legislation, we broke the mob stranglehold. And I ended up putting my life on the line to do it, but I've lived to tell the tale. And these are the kinds of things that you can use the law to do. And it's protecting the public interest, and it's doing the right thing. And I'm particularly proud to be on this program today with Your Honor, because we worked so constructively across the hall to get those kinds of things done. It
was a golden, Randy, it was a golden era where we worked together, the legislative branch and the executive branch, to preserve, protect, defend the city of New York. And
completely right.
And you were an absolute essential part of that effort. I literally remember it well. I did my small part. You did your great part. It was just absolutely wonderful. I just want to ask you, I want to make a statement, then I want to ask you a question in conclusion.
Sure.
I just want our listeners to know this. You have been endorsed by former corporation counsels, distinguished judges, law professors, deans of law schools, clients, both humble citizens and great corporations, as one of the great choices that we've ever had as a nominee for corporation counsel. And I was honored and privileged to submit testimony to the city council, which I hope they will review. I've written letters on your behalf. I believe that New York City will be greatly enhanced, and Mayor Adams will be fortunate indeed to have you as New York's top lawyer. But I have to ask you this question. Why, at this stage of your life, do you even want to do this? You're leaving a partnership with one of the great law firms of the world where you're very successful. You're one of the leaders of that firm. Why would you do that now?
Well, Your Honor, as you know, I have officially I'm a gray eminence. And at this stage in my career, I can't think of a more meaningful thing to do than to give back to the city I love, and to be able to do this job. We're at a critical juncture. We're facing a lot of issues that implicate the law in the solutions, and to be able to come back and help the city at this time, of a fraught time in our national and local democracy, and to be able to help use the power of the law to address the problems we face. I mean, it's a higher calling, and I'm answering the call. So yes, there are personal sacrifices involved, but something worth doing, you do no matter what the price. You do no matter what the sacrifices you have to make. You know yourself from having spent so many great years in public service what it means to answer that call, and I'm just honored to answer it. And I just have to say you're too kind. But working with you and Speaker Vallone and his senior team and the great council members from that generation, and how constructively all worked together. And it wasn't about what political party you were in. It's about getting things done for the public interest. I mean, we even passed during that period of time the most sweeping domestic partnership protections in the nation for same-sex couples. No one was talking about gay marriage back then in the 1990s.
That was a big leap. It was a big leap forward.
And we did that because it was the right thing to do. And a Republican Catholic mayor and a Democrat Catholic speaker, everybody got on board to do that. I'm really proud of what we did together, Your Honor. So please know that's also part of what inspires me, to know what government is capable of doing, because we did it.
Jesse, final thoughts with Randy Mastro, Esquire, the nominee of Mayor Adams to be the Corporation Counsel of the City of New York.
Randy, thank you so much for this opportunity. Maybe for our listeners, you can possibly just, what is the process? Like, I know the City Council has to ratify the recommendation or the nomination for the Corporation Counsel, but what's the process? Do you go before a subcommittee hearing, then a full hearing before the full council, or what is the process exactly?
Thank you for asking that. The process is that the City Council's Rules Committee will hold hearings next Tuesday, August the 27th. It will sit as a committee of the whole, meaning that any council member can participate, not just the members of the Rules Committee. I will appear to present my qualifications and vision for the law department and answer any questions the council members have, and then members of the public will have the opportunity to be heard as well. The hearing occurs that day. The vote on confirmation won't occur until sometime later in mid-September. The vote has to occur by September 14th, I believe. It will probably occur slightly before that date when the council has its next stated meeting, which I think is September the 12th.
Well, Randy Mastro, great lawyer, great public servant, great community activist. I want to thank you for being on the show. Jesse and I deeply appreciate your voice and your vision and your energy, and I hope that the members of the council exercise the best wisdom that they have and approve your appointment as the next Corporation Counsel of the City of New York. Randy, thank you very much for being on the show with Chairman Garcia and myself. We deeply appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
This is Let the Record Show.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst. Healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
5 immersive worlds, 1 amazing theme park. Get ready to explore the all-new Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Dark Universe. Epic Universe, now open at Universal Orlando Resort. Our universe will never be the same. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
This is Let the Record Show. Now, here are your hosts, Judge Richard Weinberg and Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia.
We are back on Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. Well, Jesse, that was a very interesting conversation we had with Randy Mastro, who's Mayor Adams' designee to be Corporation Counsel of the City of New York. My thoughts, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. My thoughts are, I don't know why somebody who's a partner at King & Spalding, one of the great law firms of the world, previously a partner of Gibson & Dunn, he's already done great public service as Chief of Staff to Mayor Giuliani and Deputy Mayor of the City of New York. I mean, I know him well from my days at City Hall, and we served together in the Lincoln Center for Performing Arts Board. I don't know why at this stage a guy would do it, but you said on the break something I thought was very, very instructive. He sees this as a calling. It's the right thing to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I think that that's what it is. I mean, successful people who have given so much, have benefited from it as well, and have really reached the pinnacles of their career for their family, for themselves. This is the selfless act. This is someone who does not need to come out of private practice, is making probably a boatload of cash. Yet he wants to serve. Number one, he wants to serve the people of a great city. Number two, he wants to begin the process of giving back to what was given to him. He was trained in the Corporation Counsel. He wants to build the next bench of lawyers that will become chiefs of staffs, that will become county attorneys, state attorneys, that will become justices or judges throughout our judiciary system. Mold those great minds, and mold those great minds in a way where it's fair, transparent, and really making sure that justice is blind. I mean, listen, our politics are different, but I cannot disagree with someone who has a history of hundreds of hours of pro bono work to help a teacher that was fired wrongly, to protect the peaceful protests of our citizens in the state, in the First Amendment, in their First Amendment right, and number two, certainly for the widows and victims of the 9/11, where money can never replace what they lost, but it helps their families, continue with the absence of their brothers, sisters, husbands, and fathers, husbands and mothers.
Well, I think that's exactly right. It's a funny thing about public service, and you use the word calling, and I agree with that. I think that's right. kind of people who do what you've done in government or what Randy Mastro has done in government, what I've tried to do in government, it really is a calling. It's in many ways an act of selflessness, a dedication to the larger community, a devotion to trying to make the world a better place, to raise our families and make it a community so that we can live and worship and work together in a positive way. And those people who have that sense of calling, it's what Teddy Roosevelt, the great president, a Republican, said, that you are in the arena. You're in the arena, and it's the arena of public service, and public service is about protecting and defending our country and making it a better place. And you've done that in your career, both in government positions and in political positions. I've tried to do that in my career in the number of positions I've been blessed to have had the opportunity to serve. Randy Mastro would be an excellent corporation counsel. And my thoughts and prayers are with him that the City Council in its wisdom will positively affirm his nomination and say, yes, this is the man we want as corporation counsel, because the city of New York will be better off having him. He will protect and defend the city in dire times. He will protect the financial integrity. He will protect the rights of our citizens. He will endeavor to revive this city, which has hit upon hard times, and make the city flourish again. So with that, I want to sign off. Jesse, I want to thank you once again for another great show. This has been Let the Record Show.
My pleasure.
With Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. We wish you and your families every good wish. God bless you, and God bless America.
This is Let the Record Show.